The first year I hit 100 grand, and I would have never thought that was even possible.
Yep.
30 grand a year was a lot of money to me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that really opened my eyes. Like that was huge. I never pictured myself being a 6-figure income earner. I thought you had to go to college for 100 years to do that.
Yeah.
The next year tripled, hit over 300 gross. And that's not 300 gross commissions. That's like 300 gross, like what I made.
That's huge. 22-year-old at that, 22, 23.
Yeah, I was 22. So a question I get a lot from other agents and investors is, do people care about your age? So I got started when I was 21. That's whenever I got licensed and got into the game. And I'm 24 now, so I just finished my 3rd year. This is the beginning of my 4th year in the business. And I don't feel like it's hindered me at all. So the first year that I was in business at 21, I did 23 transactions. And in this area, I made a 6-figure income my very first year. The second year, I did 56 transactions and tripled that. And then this last year, we did 81 transactions. So in my opinion, I do not feel like it's hindered me at all or hindered my business. Now, what I will say is there's been a handful of times that I've been on an appointment and someone say something like, "How old are you anyway?" Probably the kind of people you don't want to work with anyway, in my opinion. Something to think about is it's kind of the wrong question. So just because someone has been in the real estate business 10 years, basically they've had a first year 10 times where they're selling 4 houses a year or whatever. I had more experience than that, within 18 months of being in business. A lot of it has to do with how you carry yourself, confidence level, of course, how you dress and how you present yourself, I think is very important in that. As long as you come across as professional, I don't think that age is a big deal. I actually think that age has benefited me a handful of times. You know how many people have been, he's a young go-getter. That's been something that a lot of my referrals say, "Oh, Bill told me you were a young go-getter, so I wanted to give you a call," and whatever. We looked at your reviews after that and found out you were great. You might say, "I don't have any reviews yet." How do you go about doing that? It all shows in your attitude and how hard you're willing to work for someone. That first year I did 23 transactions, I was doing online marketing, so I was taking a lot of inbound leads and I was following up with those leads on a weekly basis. I did a lot better just starting following up with leads than I do now, and that's why I have 3 employees that handle that portion of the business, because I don't have the time to make those calls every week. I don't care who you are. If you're a buyer and you're trying to get a hold of an agent and they haven't called you back, but yet you have this kid that calls you every week on the dot and touches base with you, you're going to get the business. I mean, it doesn't matter how many houses you've sold. They're going to appreciate how hard you're working for them and the fact that you're putting in the time. And being young has nothing to do with that. I mean, if you're a hard worker, they're going to appreciate that. But I do feel like whenever people saw my photo, I did have a handful of people my first year that had said, "Oh, you looked like a young guy and, we wanted to give you a chance." So, I mean, that helped me out. Something that I think is super important, whether you're just getting started or you've been in the business for 100 years, I don't think it matters how young you are, how old you are, your reviews. So once I started going and I started making sales, that first year, I mean, even if you had 5 or 10 reviews, I'm sure there's a lot of people in your market that don't have that. So where I found that really came into play was Zillow. I was doing Zillow marketing as well. So the fact that it just added to the funnel. So I was already paying for some Zillow marketing. They click on my profile, see that I have these nice reviews. And then I was the one who was answering the phone and making the phone calls. That really helped. So even to this day, the fact that I still have people that are like, "Oh, well, he's kind of young." Well, whenever you send them over, not only your past sales and what you've been doing, but what people had to say about you, even 1 or 2 nice reviews of, this person really helped me out, they're a really hard worker, is gonna go really far in, generating business and overcoming the objection of how young you are. So in my opinion, it's never too early to start. You know, whether you're looking into investing or becoming a real estate agent, as long as you're 18 years of age, you're old enough to get started. I know guys that were actually getting started doing wholesale deals and investment side deals before they were even of 18. You know, they just had a family member or a relative help get them started. I really wish, I mean, I know I started at 21, but I wish I would have got started even earlier. I mean, think about what you're doing right now and think about how much money you make. And now think about if you sold one house and how that would make up for your income. Especially if you're still living with mom and dad, or if you have, you know, a roommate situation or something like that, and you can afford to live off of like $1,000 a month. Well, if you're by yourself and you don't have employees and you're just getting started, you could do one $5,000 commission and just think that would pay for, all you have to do is one deal and you're good for 5 months. You know, so that's something to think about. There's no reason to wait. Well, what are you waiting for? I mean, by the time you are, you know, 25, 30, 35, 40, just think about how long you've been in the business. I mean, you're going to trump everybody. So why not get an early start? The age really isn't a factor in real estate. It all comes down to your confidence and how hard you're going to work. And then remember, of course, building your credibility along the way with reviews. And of course, as you get better, you have a nice desk. You have a nice office, you have a nice car. You're always dressing nice from the very beginning. The first thing you should do as a young real estate agent is get a nice, you know, a nice set of clothes, you know. If you're in your teens or your early 20s or early 30s or whenever, I actually think that's a better time to get started. You have less responsibilities. I mean, me getting started at 21, I had no kids, I wasn't married. I was able to fully focus on the business and put in my all, which I think was just another reason why people liked me. Also being young, I think a lot of my clients thought I probably didn't have a lot of other stuff going on, so they felt like I could give them more attention being a young guy. One thing on the real estate investor side that I've experienced, not personally, but with friends that are my age that are in investing, is they wonder, all right, this guy just offered me $80,000 cash. Does he actually have the cash? I've never experienced that personally. I think mainly just because I go in there with the confidence of doing it. Maybe leverage, I mean, and this goes for real estate sales or investing, maybe leverage somebody that you've talked with saying, we've done plenty of deals, or, you know, whether that's referring to your brokerage or a mentor or someone else that you know invests, or, you know, we have a handful of rentals and we're like, who do you know that has a handful of rentals that you can kind of, you know, partner off of? Again, I've never even had to use anything like that. I've never had any pushback on the investment side. I think if you go in there and you're willing to put a pen to paper and say that, you know, you're willing to buy something for cash, as long as you know what you're talking about, which you should, if you're making cash offers on property to wholesale or anything, you should, as long as you come across with confidence. I've never had any pushback, and I don't think that you should either. If someone's motivated enough and you're confident enough, they'll sign on the dotted line, in my experience. So hopefully sharing with you my experience as a real estate agent and investor and the things that I've come across dealing business as a young guy has helped you decide whether it's something you want to get into, and hopefully pushed you to go take your real estate license test or start looking for deals, because real estate investing and being a real estate broker does not have an age limit. As long as you're 18, you're old enough to do this. So thanks for watching, guys. If you have any topics that you want me to go over, comment below. Let me know what you think. How old are you? Are you looking to get into real estate? If you have any questions, comment below. I'm happy to answer them, and I'll see you on the next one.